Sengomas can talk to your ancestors, who are like ghosts, but friendly. Although sometimes they can get angry.
That's just superstition, Mary.
It's not just superstition, Auntie Sarah, it's real.
Disturbing, dark, terrifying, suspenseful, shocking, and, even at times, downright disgusting are some of the traits that make horror films horrifying. 8. A South African Horror story, also known as The Soul Collector, managed to create horror not through being conventionally terrifying, but through being utterly unsettling. But what exactly is it that makes 8 so creepy? Well, before we get too deep into the dark, do not be afraid to hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this. 8. A South African Horror story chronicles the tale of a demon's reluctant herald known as the Soul Collector as he engages with the Zeal family who have just moved back into the farmhouse where he once labored, with the evil presence he toes taking a keen interest in devouring the soul of the youngest member of the newly arrived family.
Lidimoni lithenza imimoya yabantu esibathandayo. Omama bethu, abantwana bethu.
The first element that makes 8 so unsettling is its tone. For anyone who has watched the film, one thing is echoed unanimously amongst audiences. 8 is a slow ride. Usually the term slow-paced is a criticism used to slight films, but director Harold Holscher might have just stumbled onto a new way to make horror films incredibly eerie, achieving this by building tension throughout the film slowly. In trading the hyper-adrenalized production values of a majority of modern horrors, characteristic of mostly slasher films, for the more timid pace with an almost melancholic tinge to it all, creates the eerie tone that 8 has. This is coupled with fantastic performances by the cast that sell the unnerving vibe. Chimano Sebe takes up the role of Lazarus, who is also the Soul Collector, and with a mix of his deep voice's line delivery, set and costume designs of a rugged Undertaker visage, and production choices such as setting up shots that have him almost always towering over the other characters give him this intimidating presence. All this is juxtaposed with a very empathetic and soft-spoken demeanor whenever he is not collecting souls, making him an enigmatic entity. And this is maintained until halfway through the film where we are made to understand his character motivations. His performance though is very reliant on how it bounces off the newly arrived family of William, Sarah and Mary Zeal, played by Garth Brettenbach, Inga Beckman and Keita Luna respectively. Beckman's Sarah, particularly acting as the audience insert, works her scenes brilliantly to sell the tension and paranoia, whilst William and Mary's scenes often illuminate the softer tones to Lazarus's character. This divide on how these characters relate to each other only serves to accentuate the unease, making each scene prime landscape for fostering the tension. And of course, being a horror film married in the supernatural, we cannot fail to mention the vital force that acts as the vehicle for the scares, in this case being Uthuli, whose physical appearance, admittedly, carries an all too familiar look. However, she is used very sparingly with scattered appearances throughout the film, and even more limited, quite thankfully, are the jump scare moments. Speaking of jump scares, which are traditionally born of playing with the audience expectations through sound design, the score of this film and its sound design as a whole perfectly complement the rest of its production quality to maintain the unsettlingly creepy nature of it all. The horror genre of film elicits feelings from its audiences by challenging them to come to terms with one of humanity's primal natures, fear. In pursuit of this, 8 charts the very familiar territories of human existential fright in the notions of death and loss, centering the themes around the familial ties.
Where are we?
We are somewhere and nowhere, in a world between worlds, a place of emptiness and isolation.
Spoilers for the movie, Lazarus loses his wife and his daughter thereafter, thereby forcing him into the contract with the demonic Uthuli. The young Mary Zeal also falls victim to these themes, having lost her parents at a very young age, thereby putting her into the guardianship of William and Sarah. Heck, the majority of souls fed to Uthuli throughout the runtime of this film are from parental figures, such as William's father and Suno's mother. To add to this, the themes of infertility, barrenness, and the emotional burdens that come with it feed off the insecurities of the viewers, with all these themes ultimately tied up with an African supernatural bow. These supernatural elements in question do not just stop at the inclusion of the Faustian being that is Uthuli. The script, according to Holscher, derives existence from African spiritual practice.
Now, researched and I asked from the African point of view, and the Zulu and the Xhosa cultures, they believe in this, if a body dies in a horrific way far from the homestead, sometimes the soul gets lost. And basically what happens, the healer goes to this tree called the Fafa tree or the buffalo thorn tree, and asks the tree for this branch. And they go to this place where the body has died, where the soul resides, and ask the soul, we want to take you back to the homestead.
And the inclusion of the imagery of the moths isn't simply symbolic, but actually has roots in some African folklore, as moths are deemed to be embodiments of the soul. This neat, grounded touch can make the Soul Collector especially chilling for any African viewers who share similar or even adjacent folklore. The film director Holshare also shares the following about his approach to his debut feature-length film.
Little effects was being used, you know, and the production design, the wardrobe and camera team, we really made sure that like the palette as well, it was always an autumn palette, right? So we really made sure that the actual image that we get from camera is like embeds into memory. I wanted to create like a nostalgic feel, like some place in memory that you don't even know that you were. So yeah.
And so it is with a calculated combination of slow-paced narrative to build the tension, a focused thematic through line that lies at the foundation of each of the main characters' motivations, and apt performances by a carefully curated cast, all with a touch of traditional African spirituality, proper homage application to uphold a nostalgic feel, and a complementary eerie soundtrack that ultimately culminates in what is, from its opening scene to the final shot, a mystically macabre art piece. And that is all I have for you with this video. I would love to hear your thoughts on the film if you have seen it, or on this video that you have just watched. Feel free to recommend any African movies or series from any period of time that you would love to see covered on this channel. And if you've enjoyed this video, leave a like, and you can watch any of these videos that are already up in the channel for your express entertainment. It has been your soon-to-be favorite Uncle Omari, and I simply cannot wait to see you all in the next one.